Great news from my team at the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. You can live bet while you watch the game. Live betting is better on the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. Detroit baseball is rolling along. Plus, you've got pro golf, you've got pro basketball hoops, you've got the hockey playoffs. As I keep saying, it's an exciting time of year and nice just through, the device in your hand to have a little skin in the game. Live bet on games while you watch with the completely redesigned and ultra sleek Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. The new hot online slots, they've got them all. Panda Queen, the Big Easy, Rake and Bacon Odyssey, Medusa's Golden Gaze. Plus, they've got those that are based on the streamers that are great. Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Squid Game. New users get a $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. That bonus has to be wagered. Go to playgunlake.com and download the app right now and enjoy all the action, all the excitement from the casino right at your fingertips. You've got to be 21 and in Michigan for the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I love my poll questions at smerconish.com. Well, on Thursday, I asked this. Trump's battle with which institution has the highest stakes for the nation? Choices: big law, academia, and the media. I was surprised by the result. People went with big law slightly, but I was appreciative of the relatively even divide. It's an interesting question. 4 months into Trump 2.0, the president is hunkered down. He's fighting on 3 domestic fronts. He's fighting big law, he's fighting legacy media, he's fighting academia. And who wins each of these battles is going to have lasting implications. During the campaign, he told us he would be our retribution, but so far he's been settling his personal scores against institutional forces that each play a vital role in the safeguarding of democracy. He's at war with legacy media, several sources of which have waved a white flag to claims that would have once drawn ferocious defense. And the stakes are high. As Thomas Jefferson once said, were it left to me to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate a moment to prefer the latter. At this rate, there may be no newspapers left. Trump sued 60 Minutes and CBS for $20 billion, claiming deceptive editing of a Kamala Harris interview. He sued the Des Moines Register for over a poll showing that Harris was up 3 points in Iowa. That was right before Election Day. He sued ABC after George Stephanopoulos misstated that Trump had been found liable for rape when it was actually sexual abuse. ABC, they settled for $16 million and a statement of regret. He sued Simon & Schuster for releasing recordings of his interviews. He sued over 20 media outlets for reporting that Truth Social had lost $73 million when he says the number was only $31.6 million. He signed an executive order defunding NPR and PBS. He even banned the AP from the White House after it refused to rename in its coverage the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Look, Trump has always been a litigious person, but in the past, the MO was often to file a case and win the day's headline and then not worry when it later might be dismissed because nobody's going to remember anyway. Now, outlets that would have fought him in court are rolling over so as to remain in the good graces of the President of the United States. CBS would never have settled Trump's case in the past. $20 billion for editing a Kamala Harris tape? Where are the damages? He beat her. But now, with CBS parent Paramount pursuing an $8 billion merger with Skydance, the Shari Redstone-run media outlet has to regard paying Trump as the cost of doing business, a rounding error to a larger prize. That prospect has caused revolt at CBS, as evidenced by Scott Pelley's sign-off a couple of weeks ago. He used the last minute of 60 Minutes to address the resignation of longtime executive producer Bill Owens and called out CBS parent company Paramount Global. Which is not to say that the media has been above reproach. Only now are we reading about who knew what when with regard to President Biden's decline. The same outlets that didn't touch that in the same way they initially ignored Hunter's laptop. In 2016, Hillary Clinton received 500 endorsements from newspapers and magazines. Trump got 28. Given that imbalance, it's no wonder that public trust in the press is cratering. A recent Gallup poll found that only 17% of Americans rate the ethics of newspaper reporters as high or very high. For TV reporters, it's just 13%. Only lobbyists, car salesmen, and Congress score lower. And then there's Trump's war on academia. This front matters because universities shape the next generation. At their best, they teach civic responsibility, critical thinking, and the values that underpin democracy. And where do leaders in media and big law often come from? Our elite educational institutions. Trump has threatened to pull federal funds from elite schools, but none has drawn more fire than Harvard, the ultimate symbol of American higher education. In just the last month, the administration froze more than $3 billion in federal grants. Trump also issued an executive order blocking Harvard from enrolling international students, who, by the way, comprise more than a quarter of the population, and he's threatened to cut all federal funding entirely. The stated reason? He claims Harvard has failed to confront anti-Semitism on campus, and there's probably some truth to that. Still, many see that claim as a smokescreen. This is a symbolic battle. Harvard, with its $53 billion endowment and elite liberal reputation, is a perfect foil for Trump's populist crusade. He leaned into that divide on Truth Social recently, saying, "I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land." By the way, supporting trade schools, that's a wonderful idea, but not at the expense of other higher education. Harvard professor Steven Pinker, he's been a guest of mine here, writing in the New York Times, made a compelling case against Trump in a piece titled "Harvard Derangement Syndrome." Pinker acknowledged the university faults. He spent years pushing for reform, but he warned that Trump's approach isn't reform, it's coercion. Twisting Harvard's arm doesn't improve it, it guts it. Trump's caricature of higher ed ignores the real complexity on campus, where there's still more intellectual diversity than he lets on. As Alexander Pope put it, who breaks a butterfly upon a wheel? Trump is using a sledgehammer where a scalpel is perhaps necessary. And so far, courts agree he's been losing. And finally, there's Trump's war on big law. You might think that attacking law firms would be politically risky, but lawyers rank just above lobbyists and telemarketers in those polls on public esteem, so maybe not. Still, these firms are essential to the legal system that upholds the rule of law. They may be easy to vilify, but they help guarantee that no one, not even a president, is above it. President Trump has signed executive orders punishing top firms for alleged illegal hiring tied to DEI programs and what he calls discriminatory practices. As part of the penalty, he's demanded they do pro bono legal work for causes he supports or face bans from federal buildings, including courthouses. That could be a career ender for any national practice. And there's a pattern. The firms under attack, they tend to be those that have crossed Donald Trump. Perkins Coie, which worked with Hillary Clinton on the Steele dossier. Wilmer Hale, which hired Robert Mueller. Paul Weiss hired Mark Pomerantz. He assisted the Manhattan DA's office in its financial investigation of Trump. And Jenner and Block hired Andrew Weissman, who was a lead prosecutor for Mueller. 9 firms capitulated. Fearing retribution, they cut deals with the administration, Paul Weiss and Skadden Arps among them. But 4 others have pushed back. Perkins Coie, Wilmer Hale, Jenner and Block, they have filed lawsuits arguing the orders violate their First Amendment rights. And so far, they're winning. Trump has lost those 3 courses thus far. In one ruling, Judge Richard Leon wrote, "This order must be struck down in its entirety as unconstitutional. Indeed, to rule otherwise would be unfaithful to the judgment and vision of the founding fathers." Note the exclamation points. There were 26 in the total opinion. Style aside, the message is clear. Trump's use of executive power to punish legal adversaries doesn't hold up in court. To Trump supporters, this backlash reeks of hypocrisy. They point to the lawsuits, the investigations, and impeachment efforts that Democrats threw at Trump and the 65 Project's effort to disbar Trump-aligned attorneys as evidence that lawfare goes both ways. Fair enough, but if they thought weaponizing the law was wrong then, how's it better now? Trump may still notch a win or two, but even the threat of losing business or access to federal courtrooms, it chills legal independence, and that should concern everybody, regardless of their political stripe. So yes, Donald Trump is waging a 3-front war, not overseas, but right here at home, and it's a fight of his own making. Liberals are equal parts disgusted and horrified, yet for some conservatives that I've spoken to, the feeling is it's about time. Listen to this person who called my radio show.
I think Trump's doing exactly what he's got to do for the good of the country. Just a newsflash. We've got other schools other than Harvard that you can go to. You can go to Alabama and they're not under attack. Florida State's not under attack. LSU isn't under attack. There's a lot of good schools around the country that aren't ginning up all of this hatred and this bullshit that they're doing in these schools with these Jewish kids. Also, the lawyers have been doing lawfare against Republicans for a long time. And as far as the media goes, what's been going on the last 4 years with the media? Who walked into the newsrooms and said, hey, let's protect Joe Biden? We've got a president that's basically a zombie, and we're not going to cover any of that.
That was Jim from Florida. By the way, I thanked him profusely. That's a mindset held by half the country. And too often, hunker down in our own media silos, we don't hear what the other side is saying. When I answered the question as to which battle has the highest stakes for the nation, the battle against big law, the battle against academia, the battle against the media, I said the media. But there was no wrong answer. So I voted for media, but let's be honest, big law, academia, the press, they're all pillars of our democracy. And when any one of them buckles under political pressure, we all feel that tremor. President Trump's three-front domestic war isn't just about score settling. It is stress testing the institutions that hold the country together. And maybe that's why I was heartened by the poll's split result. It means people still recognize what's at stake. Let's just hope that the foundations hold.